Amigos, bienvenidos al episodio número 6. El día de hoy tengo, como siempre, una invitada muy especial. Ella tiene una licenciatura en Ciencias Biomédicas, es entusiasta de la neurociencia, presentadora y comunicadora científica. Ella es Sophie Ward, o mejor conocida aquí en YouTube como Soph's Notes. Please, welcome. Here's the space, like everyone is clapping and tell you welcome, Sophie, the biology apprentice. So it's a pleasure having you here. I'm really excited, super happy. So how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here as well. And to get to probably chat to you. Like we've been following each other on Twitter for a while and kind of occasionally replying to tweets. It's nice to actually have a good conversation with you, Sophia.
Yeah, exchanging tweets with a lot of gifts.
Yeah.
That's nice. So to start this conversation, I want to talk to you about a little bit about your background. So I want to know like the details of how you decide to study biomedical sciences and all that time in your life, and how you decide to start doing science communication and what got you interested in science communication.
Wow. Okay. Whew. Okay. So I'm one of those people who's always been interested in both science and like drama, and I've always been kind of split between those two halves of myself. And obviously when you're at school you have to pick one half basically. So I always wanted to make a difference to the world, whatever. I always wanted to help the world as much as I could. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do science because then I'll find a cure for cancer and it'll all be great. That isn't what really happened, but that's why I ended up studying biomedical sciences, because I was really interested in the human body, but I didn't want to be a medical doctor because I don't know, I thought I wasn't emotionally strong enough for that. So I thought, oh, I'll go into the research side of things. And I hadn't really heard of biomedical sciences as a course before. And then I went on an open day at the University of Oxford and I saw the course and I read about the course and I realized that that was perfect. It was studying human bodies, but not as a medic, and I could study the brain, which I'm really interested in. So yeah, so I kind of followed that sciencey half of myself. But as I like did the degree, I really missed the other half, like the English, the writing, the drama kind of stuff. So by the end of my degree, I thought, all right, I want to do science communication, but I also had done school and then university, and so I wanted a bit of a taste of kind of real life. So I finished university and then I worked in a school for a little bit with kids with special educational needs, and I taught them science. And then after that, I did my science communication masters, which was everything I wanted it to be. Like it was merging together like how we discuss science, but also the philosophy of science, and also, you know, what do the public expect from science? What are scientists? What do scientists need to do to communicate well? So yeah, that's my kind of journey. Is a kid who always liked to do everything, and I was like a nerd and a class clown, like both of those things in one. So kind of I always have kind of carried that through in my life and tried to merge science and my personality, because I wanted to make sure as well that I could, like, I don't know, maintain that class clowniness whilst also being very serious about science, which sounds like a weird combination. That's kind of why I'm where I am now, I think.
When I'm going back a little bit. When you say you did science communication for kids with of special education, what challenges did you find doing science communication in that moment?
I mean, it was in a school setting, so the kids were already. I think the biggest challenge isn't kind of how good the kids are at learning. It's that they've been taught their whole life that they are bad at learning. So it's these kids who struggle for whatever reason with school, and so they just immediately switch off, especially a subject like science that they find quite hard. They'll just straight away, as soon as they're sitting in a science lesson, be like, no, can't do this. And so the challenge is building their confidence back up. It's not even, because to be honest, like an 11-year-old child doesn't need to know really intense scientific theories, but you want them to learn something, you want them to enjoy science. And so it's about building their confidence up enough so that they then listen and try and learn from you. But I loved that. And the thing is when you have a kid who's never really believed in themselves, just putting a bit of belief into them, really, you see it, the effects are huge. So yeah, that was kind of the biggest challenge, I think, is making them feel like they're able to learn anything. And also the other biggest challenge was leaving, because after 2 years of working with these kids that you've become really connected to, saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I'm going to go do something else. That was horrible," and I still miss them all. They were great kids.
Yeah, I bet. But what kind of limitation these kids have? Like they were autistic or what kind of problems? Because I'm telling this because my mom, she's a professor in special education, so I'm very related with the subject. So because I remember when I was a kid, probably I was like 7, 8 years old, my mom took me to in a very early age to explore and to confront this situation, to me, to see it as a normal thing, to avoid prejudice and all this kind of stuff. So
so also there was a few kids who were autistic, other just kind of general learning difficulties where, for whatever reason they find it difficult to learn. There was a wide range, really. There were some kids who on the other spectrum they were part deaf, so there was a big range. But kind of similarly to you, my brother and sister are both autistic, so I've grown up like knowing that, again, it's a similar thing, like normalizing it and knowing that kind of it's important that those people get joy out of science as well, obviously. So there was a wide range of reasons that I worked with the kids.
That's awesome. So also I read in some link that you did some improvised comedy. So I want to know a little bit about your experience combining science and comedy and how that thing works, because here in Mexico we have something like that, but I don't know how popular in England is science comedy. So
so science comedy is like quite a niche in in England. It's like quite a thing. I mean, improv comedy and science haven't quite found their way together yet. I think stand up. So improv comedy is the one where it's all made up on the spot, and that's the one that I'm very familiar with, where you just get a word and then you do a rap or you do a scene or you do whatever. You just perform based on that word.
Improvise.
You just improvise.
Like
Exactly. Whereas stand up is the one where you pre-write it and then you have to. And like, I mean, you probably know that, but like, I have so many friends who like get confused by it, and I'm like, no, I don't do this, I do that. Anyway, but there's a lot of science themed stand up around, and to be fair, even though I do a lot of improv, I turned my hand to a bit of stand up, which is really hard, but I tried it. And yeah, there's quite a big scene in the UK of merging science and stand up. And there's a lot of scientists who I think, like me, want to bring in that other side of themselves, like want to be like, hey, I'm a scientist, but I also love comedy. And so there's a big underground world of science comedy, such a big world that in my science communication masters, I wrote my dissertation about science and comedy events. So I put out a load of interviews and asked people who'd been to science comedy events what they thought of them, what they thought the purpose was, and if people thought they were a good method of communication, because a lot of people who aren't scientists probably assume science is really boring, and so seeing a scientist do comedy is kind of something a bit new and interesting and something they might not have expected to see. But it's really popular, and it's a really nice group of people who do it, and they're always good fun. The shows are always like really good fun. So
How do you prepare for doing improv or stand-up? Because as what I see, it's a very different thing. I thought it was something similar, but really is not. So
Yeah.
how do you prepare for that? I mean, it's improv. It's like, oh, just gonna make a joke about
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Improv is all about practice. It's like you can rehearse a lot with improv, and people think that's weird because they're like, how do you rehearse for something if it's made up? But it's like a football game. Like every football game is different, but you practice the skills that make you good at football.
Yeah.
Improv is the exact same. You practice listening carefully, you practice being spontaneous, even though that sounds weird that you practice being spontaneous, but you practice, or even in your group, you just practice performing with people, and that means you get more cohesive and you're better at performing together. And it means that when you do shows, the more you've practiced, it really pays off. So yeah, but I've done improv for like nearly 7 years now, and so after
You have
doing
a
it.
lot of practice now by now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So now I can get up and it's generally going to be okay. I know that because if you're improvising a story, there are key things a story needs to have. It needs to have kind of a problem and then a resolution and whatever. So the more you practice, the more you learn to steer the story in a certain direction. But yeah, anyone can be good at improv if you really practice. So Sophia, you could be an excellent improviser if you just, put the time in. You'll be great.
Yeah, actually, talking about that, previous I started doing YouTube. Some of my friends, this is the weird thing. Check out. I'm funny according to my friends, but when I'm talking to someone in a conversation, and I wanna get into that conversation later about your channel because it's something that I really love about your channel and about your personality. Because since the first video, you are like so spontaneous and so likable. I was like, I really like this channel because it's exactly the same thing. But with me, it was a little bit different because in front of a camera, I'm super shy. So my personality, it changed completely from I'm Sophia, I'm the scientist, I'm very serious, and I'm gonna tell you a story about science. And it was like super boring. So the thing I like about your channel and about your whole personality is because it's like so easy, Take your compliments.
I know, I'm like, oh, stop it, stop it.
Oh,
No,
stop it. But yeah, it is. And so it's for me, it was a difficult thing to do. So some of my friends said that you should do a stand-up. Like, no, I can't because I
yeah,
can be funny, like just me telling a joke about, I don't know, bees or fishes or whatever. Like, I can do that. I prefer, even though when I do a panel of a conference or any other thing that involves an stage, I prepare like a lot, like 2 months before. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I need to be like perfect because I'm a perfectionist. So I need to get things done in that way. So stand up for me, it will be like a unexplored area. Probably I'll do it, probably I'll not, but now that I'm talking to you, you can be a really good teacher, so probably
yeah. Well,
I'll try
stand
it
up as well.
out.
I think science themed stand up is a really easy way to get into stand up because the audiences are always so nice because they just want that they're often scientists, so they understand that it's scary to do stand up. Whereas a normal stand up gig is terrifying. Like I've never done a normal stand up gig, and I don't think I ever will because it's so scary. But yeah, science stand up, you should start with that and then see where it goes.
How do you choose the subject you are talking about in a stand-up show?
Well, the ones I've done have had like really loose themes, so you kind of work around the theme and then make connections and kind of try and find jokes. But yeah, I find stand up so hard. Like I would way rather get up on a stage, have no idea what was going to happen and be given a word, then pre-write something and then get up and read it, because in that second one, you've like backed yourself, you've like think you've thought you're so good that you can go out and read a thing you've written, whereas with improv you can just go out and just do whatever, and it's
So you just in the meaning of that, you're saying like stand up, like limit yourself in a subject that you prepare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right?
And also it's yeah, you've had to write it in a room on your own, and this is I'm not going to be funny while I'm just sitting in this room. Like, I'm more likely to be funny when there's an audience there and I can bounce off it, I suppose. But yeah, so
That's a really nice thought about it. Well, I'll think about it. I don't know yet. So talking about the audience on stand up, in your dissertation, what is the thing that you found? Of course I need to read your dissertation, so I'll do that. But what did you find about this the audience?
yeah, so I basically found I was asking the question of like science comedy events, who are they actually for? Because, like I just said, they're often thought to be a good way to communicate science, but then the audience is often already scientists, because someone who isn't interested in science probably isn't going to go to a science comedy event and be like,
Unless it's forced by some friend.
exactly, unless they're forced. That was one of the things I found. Like, I came up with all these different kinds of people you would find at a stand-up at science comedy event. Exactly. And I started writing it with a really critical eye, kind of saying, we need to be realistic about science comedy. It's not a good communication mechanism at the moment because we're not reaching anyone new. But as I went along, I realized that that isn't necessarily its job. It acts kind of partly as a niche where people who enjoy that kind of comedy can just enjoy the niche, but also it does engage people in science who maybe liked science when they were younger and want to get back in touch with it. So it's not there to bring in someone who's always hated science and you're going to prove to them that it's funny. It's there to let people who are on the fringes of the scientific community re-engage with science in a way. So I found that, yeah, that's what I found basically in the dissertation.
That's awesome. Also, you got like some recognition or something that I also read that in some of your blog that you get like an award or something because of that dissertation, right?
Oh, I
Or
don't
just
know.
like
Maybe
making up. I'm making
no,
that up.
I'm making that up. Well, that dissertation was only the one this year, so it might be my one from undergraduate. But I don't think I got a research project that I did around it. Wait, what did I? Yeah, I did a research project on my old dissertation on Parkinson's. But I don't know if that's right. Maybe I've fakely claimed I've got an award somewhere. I don't know.
I'll read it and I'll tell you. You put it here, and I'm quoting now. Just kidding. So I want to talk about your other projects because I know you have a podcast with my very good friend Matthew Schufman. So I want to know a little bit about that podcast because I listened to probably 2 or 3 episodes last night, and it was a nice discovery for me. So it was it was like a weird combination between science and a little bit of comedy. So it was good. So I want to know a little
Thank
bit
you.
more
Thank you
about
for
it.
sharing. Yeah, so the podcast is called A Piece of String, because the whole point of the podcast is there's 4 of us, and one of us asks a question that no one else like knows the answer to. But it's always a question like that's a bit unusual. So I ask, for example, what happens if you fight fire with fire?
Yeah,
Or
actually, I listened to that one
yeah, one,
because
yeah,
you were there, so I need to watch listen to that.
yeah. Or another one is like, are happy tears different to sad tears? Kind of questions like that. And so yeah, one person asked the question, and one person has secretly researched the answer. But then we all discuss it, kind of coming up with whatever facts we know, kind of around the topic. We try and find the answer and make jokes along the way. And then after a while, the person who secretly researched the answer reveals their answer to everyone. And there's also a part in the middle where it's called the Mystery Midsection, where I may ask a question like, what are time crystals? And then everyone else comes up with a fake answer. And then I read out everyone's fake answers and the real answer, and then people have to pick which they think the real answer is. So it's basically just a really fun asking weird questions and an excuse to have fun and like discuss weird facts. And it is, yeah, it's a mix of science and comedy basically. And it just happened because I didn't know Matt before the podcast, but how do you know? We had like mutual friends, I think, and then we got in touch. He got in touch with me because he saw my channel when it started, and we did like a dry run of the podcast, and it went really well, and it was really fun. So it's basically just a group of mates who like science getting together to have a laugh while they talk about science. And our first season finished a while ago, and our second season I think is out and ready to release quite soon. So yeah, there should be a new season of A Piece of String, which is the podcast, out quite soon.
Awesome. Good to know. I'm gonna link all of those, all the things we are talking about in the description so people can check it out because it's really good. So the point here is, what your previous experience that, of course, help you on the podcast, the comedy background doing podcast, because, in between platforms, even though sounds like, oh, it's gonna be easy, it is not. Because, the format in the podcast is different than get up on a stage and talk about whatever thing you want to talk about. So how this previous experience help you, and how do you combine, your skills in a podcast?
I mean, the improv, I feel like I'm just on this like selling improv comedy. Like, I think improv comedy helps with so many things. It definitely helped with the podcast because the whole point of improv is you like listen to what other people say and then you build on that. And a podcast that's based around a discussion, that's what you need. Someone says a fact and you are like, oh yeah, that fact makes me think of this thing. And you kind of build together and you listen to everyone. So that improv base is the best. It just it helps with everything, and it helped with the podcast, as did my science background, and also YouTube helped. Kind of the experience of making YouTube videos helped with the podcast because when you research for YouTube videos, and you'll get this as well, you find out so much random stuff, like just little random bits and bobs on whatever topics you like. And for a podcast like that, it's so easy to just be like, oh, I read this thing, I did a video about it, this is one of the facts. So yeah, it's improv, and that podcast is basically a perfect mix between my improv background and my science background coming together in a happy little podcast whole.
Actually, I was going to jump to YouTube channel that again, and I'm not gonna get tired to do this. So here's the thing: when people ask me what my favorite science YouTuber are, or what channels that I watch, I always say the same thing, because I don't really watch other YouTubers, other science YouTubers, because of the same reason. Because, finding your voice, your style in the way you make videos, for me, it was really hard. Because as I said before, it was really hard to putting all this personality in front of a camera.
It's really hard, it is.
And trying to express what I feel, what I think, and put that across of a lens in a camera, because you are talking to just yourself and a camera. It was really hard. So again, when I found your channel, I always recommend your channel, and I usually don't do this because it gets me in so many troubles. It sounds like not, but it is a trouble. So I always recommend your channel for the same thing, because also you have like a uniform, like like the same style in all your videos. That is just now, it feels like a movie, I guess, like being consistent.
Yeah.
So also other things I want to compliment you a lot. Because
Yeah, I'm
this is
grinning.
real.
I'm grinning. I'm like so like my smile's
So
like so
no,
big.
the other thing is the edition on your videos. It's really like so clean because you are so good at storytelling that you don't need like a lot of pictures or other things that distract you from what are you saying. So doing this kind of engagement with a video over 5 minutes, because I watch your videos and some are 10, some other are 20 minutes. It's hard, but you accomplished that. So congratulations on that. That's why I find it like very interesting. And the day I send you like the gif of Lady Gaga, these memes,
I
it's
love
because
that
I really
game
meant
as
it.
well.
So if you ever doubt yourself, like probably I'm not that good, don't do that because it's good. I'm telling you, because comparing your I know I hate comparisons, but I'll do it anyway. Comparing your videos with other YouTube presenters, yours stand out for that reason. So I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like clean and they're like in a good composition. So I really love your videos, even though you think I've probably it's so simple or whatever, but those are really good. So I end up with the compliments here.
Oh no, I must admit, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, I'm glad you like them that much. It means so much, and you doubt yourself so much as a YouTuber. You know, it's just you and your script and your videos, and so it's so nice to hear so much positivity being thrown at me, because I will remember that. I'll remember your words, and that they will carry me through. Yeah.
Yeah, because being a YouTuber is hard. People think it's like, oh, this is very easy, but it's not. So I want to know what's your process of creating a YouTube video, because I watch some of them. I'm not saying that all of them, but no. So because of the same thing, because I think if I start watching your videos, at some point I'm gonna be mimic you, and I don't want to do that. That's why I avoid watching other YouTubes or other YouTubers, because of the same thing. At some point, oh, I'm gonna start doing this like Sophie. I'm gonna be like talking. Okay, talking maybe probably not, but
You'll
because
get a
that
Northern English
it's hard
accent.
to
Yeah.
mimic. But you know what I meant. So
No,
I
I'm the same.
what's your process of creating a YouTube video, and where do you get your ideas, and if you want to share, of course.
No, but I mean it's quite simple really. My ideas, I have a little list of ideas on my phone. I don't know if you have the same thing.
Yes, I have a notebook because I'm an old person,
No,
apparently.
it's better. I prefer writing by hand. It's old school. It's far nicer. So yeah, I have my little list of ideas, and I always have friends who will be having a chat, and they'll just they'll ask some random question, and they'll be like, "Oh, that'd make a good video." So I put all that into a list on my phone, and then often when it's time to make a video, I just look at the list, see what I'm in a mood to make, or I try and make something that is relevant to the time. So I made a video for Valentine's Day about a love potion because it's Valentine's Day.
I also
Um,
watched that one. Probably I watched all of them
no, I
just
mean,
I didn't.
thank you. Um, yeah, so then it's quite basic, really. There's all the research takes ages because there's the top level research because I want it to be as scientifically sound as possible. So there's the top level basic research where I kind of find the general ideas for my discussion. And then I have to, every idea there, I have to back up with a scientific paper. So I kind of have my key ideas and then I go to Google Scholar or whatever and try and find the scientific paper to back that idea. And then, so I normally end up with like a 20-page document of all my notes for the whole video. And then I get a new page and I work out the narrative. For you to say that I'm really good at storytelling or that you think I'm good at storytelling, that's really like a relief to hear because you have all these bits of scientific paper and you want to turn them into a story, into a narrative. And so that the key stage is working out the narrative of the video, and then it always comes down after that to writing the script. And that's just a sit down, because my style is very the way I talk. When I meet
Yes, I
people.
know. That's what I like because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
feels. I know you have a script, but doesn't feel like you have one. It's like, Sophia, just making up everything. You know?
Yeah. Well, I used to do that, and then the editing was so hard. Like my first few videos, I just say what I've learned, and the editing was horrendous because I'm trying to make it as sleek as possible. But yeah, that's something I really like when I meet people that I only know through YouTube in real life, which I hope happens with us one day, Sophia.
Yeah.
Whenever I meet people in real life, they always say, "Oh, like it's funny because you're just like you are on your channel." And it's because when I write my script, I just like write it as if I'm talking, and then it's really just like how I talk, and then I re mimic that when I do it to camera. Yeah, and then I film and then I edit, and then I post it out, and that's that. And often, if I feel like the video doesn't have enough funny bits or light-hearted bits or little jokes in it, I kind of go back through it, find anywhere I can squeeze one in. There's always like half a day of filming where I'm just filming me doing weird things that I need to put in the video, which is always the entertaining bit. Yeah.
How much does it take you to make a video? Like a day?
Oh, no, longer than a day. I have 2 weeks now between each video, and it normally takes me. I could probably bash one out in a week, but I get distracted so easily when I'm working. Like my last video was all about working from home, and I felt like such a hypocrite because I'm really bad at working from home. Yeah. So I could do one in about a week, but normally a week and a half is a comfortable amount from start to finish, you know.
See, people, it's hard. It's
It's
hard to
hard,
do.
it's really
Yeah,
hard. Yeah.
because it takes like so much time. For example, what's the hardest part of making a YouTube video in your experience?
Oh, I think the hardest part, it isn't like the hardest bit isn't a stage of it. It's just how sick you get of your own ideas and your own face. Like once you've been working on a video for a week and a half, it goes out to the world, and I just think this is so bad. Everything I thought was funny isn't funny. Everything I thought was interesting is boring. What do you agree? Like what do you think is the hardest part?
For me, the hardest part is getting like a good idea because you're not like you are not making up anything, you are not inventing anything because all the subjects are out there. Your work is to make something new, something creative about a subject that everyone knows.
Yeah.
So for me, it's getting an original idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it happens with you, but sometimes I get so overwhelmed, so tired, so sick of myself. Like, okay, I'm just gonna take a week of not doing anything. Like
Yeah.
I call these mini vacations creative pauses because I need to pause and
Yeah.
think about something else. So when people ask me where do you get your ideas, is usually movies, TV shows, a book, a conversation with a friend, a comment in some video. So all my good ideas, according with myself, come from there. So
Have you
probably
had
that's
any
the
ideas
hard part.
from Have you had any ideas from Killing Eve?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But the point is, I need to go back to mixing science with TV shows because it's something that I really love. But sometimes it's hard when people don't get the reference. And it happened to me in some of my videos. I did like a 38-second video about, the recommendations of this pandemic thing and coronavirus. Just wash your hands, don't touch your face. So I did that, but in a Simpson style. How's the name? I'm Troy McClure, and you are
Oh
watching.
yeah.
Maybe you remember me because blah 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 blah. I did that. Nobody got the reference. Nobody got the idea.
Oh my god! I'm gonna go watch it and comment, being like, "I love this. I love Troy McClure."
Except one of my friends, because we have like the same mental problems with TV shows. So she was like, "Oh, I got the reference." I was like laughing. I was like, "Thank you very much," because I did my effort. Because the video is totally different, because my voice changed. The style where I'm moving changed because I'm mimicking Troy McClure.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to understand, and nobody said anything about my voice, so it was a little bit like, oh. It was a little sad. Also, I have another video, probably it's not available now, with the 100, this apocalyptic TV show.
Yeah.
Because it's so good. So I did a video about that. But YouTube was like, "Oh, you're not gonna monetize because you put videos that are copyrighted there." So I was like, I had to take it down. But actually, I got the idea because at that time I had Snapchat. Snapchat, and they have like this filter, with like the painting mask that the character has.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm making a video. So I started with the phrase of the show and everything. So everyone was like, we don't get it. Like, okay. So I go back to Disney and mixing biology with I don't know the name in English, but I guess it's bugs. The Pixar movie with bugs.
Oh yeah, it's Bugs Life.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just lost my track of what I was talking to you.
It's talking about what's difficult about videos, and it's true. Yeah, when you think a joke absolutely kills and no one comments on it, and you're like, no, I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, it was like so funny. I'm so funny. Why people can get that?
And going back, that's what's hard about a stand-up set, is you write a joke and people laugh at what you don't expect, and it's just hard. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, people laugh when you are not trying to be funny. Like, no, I'm talking like I'm in a very serious subject.
Yeah.
Please don't laugh.
It's why, like, on my I find YouTube like bios really hard to write, but one phrase I've just stuck with is funnier when trying not to be, because I think I am. I think people just laugh at my face when I'm not actually trying to be funny.
No, but actually, but you are funny, because I told you I was watching your video about my disgusting accent.
Oh yeah.
And at the end, I don't know what you did with the editing. It was like, it's so funny. So if you're telling yourself like, oh, I'm not funny, yes you are. So,
okay, sorry, I'll stop doing that. It's annoying, yeah.
So in the general thing, what kind of feedback do you receive from your videos? What are the general comments about it?
Oh, my subscribers are so nice. Like I generally get really, really nice comments. I think people just like I feel like my subscriber base feels like quite a good little community. So my comments are generally kind of really supportive of me. Like my last video is my first sponsored video, my first sponsor. Very exciting.
Yeah, check that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But so many people, way more than I expected, were saying congrats on the sponsor, like well done, da da da. So I think because my channel is still in that place where most people who subscribe to it found me, liked what I made. I mean, I guess that happens anytime there's subscribers, actually. That doesn't really make any sense. Basically, my comment section is nice, actually. Sometimes I get like people who disagree with things I've said, but that's always very well balanced. And surprisingly, I thought I'd get a lot more comments kind of targeted at me because I'm a woman. Like I thought I'd get more comments on how I look or whatever, and I get a few, but nothing too bad. Like I know a lot of educational science, in particular female YouTubers, and again maybe you get this, who kind of are like, oh, you don't know what you're saying because you're a woman, and I haven't really had that yet, probably because my videos haven't found their way to the home pages of people who would say that. So I'm awaiting that at some point in my future. But do you get that much?
Not that much, but yes, I got those. The thing here is I put so much effort doing videos that in my mind have like high quality at difference to other videos. So sometimes getting comments on my looks or oh you're so pretty or things, I know it's a compliment, but it doesn't feel like a compliment to me. It's like I put so much effort researching on this video, so you can comment whatever you want on the subject of the video and you are only focusing on my looks. So it's not
Yeah.
very convincing. It's like if you want to compliment me, just tell something about the video and I'll and that will be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And then
get those comments on. Go on, no, go on.
no, you say.
I was just gonna say I get those comments on looks, but they're always also tied into, oh, and you're really smart and funny, and I'm like, you've sprinkled those in there, so it's not just a compliment about looks. But yeah, no, go on. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, the thing I was about to say is, oh, you also get comments. For example, I did a video on whatever subject. I don't know, pandas, whatever. And usually are men that go into the comment section and explain to me the
Oh, yeah.
same video with my same words in the comment section, and it's like, why?
Yeah, what were you thinking? Yeah.
Why? It's like, why are you like this? So if you think again, if any man is watching this, don't do that because you're not complimenting me. You're not getting anything with me, so don't do that because
Yeah.
it's not a compliment. So it's quite annoying. I mean, I have a lot of pet peeves on being a YouTuber, so probably you do. We're gonna talk about this off the records because you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I'm
but
already holding my tongue a little bit, to be totally honest.
yeah, me too.
Trying to be
But
careful with what
we're
I
gonna talk
say.
about this later because I have so many things to comment about it. And also sometimes, yeah, for example, you with your mean comments, you did a whole 20-minute video with the bad comment. So that was a really nice thing to do
That's
because
true.
but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't like very harsh. But with me, I got sometimes I get like very mean comments like, come on, you don't even know me. You don't even talk to me. You don't know what the things I believe in. And you are just judging.
Yeah.
So, how, for example, I know you probably don't get mean comments, but how do you deal with haters? Probably not on YouTube, but maybe on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
What has
Well,
been experienced in other platforms?
well, I mean, I do sometimes get mean comments, and actually, that comment I made the video on, I mean, it worked. So the my disgusting accent video worked perfectly because I wanted to do a video about accents anyway, and then I got that comment about my voice being horrible, so I was like, oh, perfect. But the most mean comments I've got are so I did a video for a guy called Mike Boyd who's got quite a big channel and we're friends, so he like asked me if I wanted to make a video for him, and that, for me who's got just under 10,000 subscribers, suddenly I was on a channel with 2 million, and all these comments I was like, oh, and it's a whole video that's just me, and it was so difficult to not just get completely pulled into all the comments and read every single one and take them all really personally. I think if people don't like what I make, then it sounds so typical, but I just ignore them. Slash, I show the comments to people that I know and trust, and then we all just rip into them because that's really satisfying. If you see a mean comment, because also mean comments are so often really stupid, so it's so easy to tear them apart that replying feels harsh. But if you do it on your WhatsApp chat with your mates, it's really fun. So I often just screenshot the comment and send it to my friends and then write a really like sarcastic reply to them and get it out there. So that's what I
Yeah,
do.
just to feel good about yourself. Like I could answer you, but I'm not gonna do it
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
I'm just gonna ignore you.
destroy you. But
Yeah.
I'm going to, because you don't need
You
it in your
know
life.
how much of your I forgot the word, but how much do you need to hold all your mean thoughts to not put it
Yeah.
out there? Like, I'm gonna probably it's not a good idea because being out there, putting yourself out there, you have like a image to protect, and you have like a profile like, oh, Sophie is in that way, oh, she's very professional, she's blah, blah, blah. So you can be like mean, because if not, you're gonna be the mean person on YouTube,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's the thing. So I want to ask you, what do you think are the qualities of a good science communicator?
Oh my days. Never ever saying someone is dumb for not knowing something. That is so important. Um, Understanding that you can learn things too. I guess those are quite well tied into each other, but just not assuming that your way of doing something is the best way. And also the third one is, I guess, knowing kind of science. you know,
Know
you
your
can't,
science. That's
you
a
know.
really good advice.
I mean, you can't be a science communicator who doesn't like. Not that you have to know all science, but like know something that you're communicating. Anyone who's communicating something needs to know the thing they're communicating. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying any names, but sometimes it happens that educational YouTubers take subjects that they aren't really related, and they start talking about the in a video, and I was like, no, the information you are saying is all wrong.
Mm.
So I don't say anything because reasons, but one of the important things to me is just stick to your knowledge, and if you don't really know the subject, ask. You have friends that study different subjects in different areas of knowledge, so you could ask, but it happens. So
Yeah.
that's actually, it's a really good advice. So, in your whole experience of communicating science, podcast, stand up, and all the wonderful things you do on YouTube, what's what has been like the biggest challenge of everything? What has been like the big rewarding thing? So, the whole experience and the whole package of science communication, what are you the and the other question is, what are you most proud of? Or what has been your biggest accomplishment?
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Biggest accomplishment. Wait, what was the first part? It was something. What was the first bit?
That's a really good question. Let me think. Just
It was.
cut
It
it
was
out,
literally.
because
I'll just do it.
I ask so many things at the same time. The first thing, it was the biggest challenge.
Our biggest challenge. Okay.
The other thing, it was what's
Biggest.
the yeah, and your biggest accomplishment,
Okay.
and
Biggest.
the most rewarding part, that I think is kind of the similar, but you decide where are like the side you wanna answer that question. So it's up
Okay.
to you.
Okay. So the biggest accomplishment is always just feeling like you've done something that matters. So actually, of all my videos, and a huge accomplishment is the fact people even watch my videos, people are even subscribed. I had such a haphazard, not consistent upload schedule for so long because I was working at the school and I was doing a master's, and to still build an audience through that, the fact I could still manage to build an audience blows my mind. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is right when I started out, my first few videos were about Parkinson's disease because that's what I studied a lot in my degree. And a Parkinson's charity got in touch with me and were like, do you want to make some videos for us? And that, I was so new to it, and I was so kind of young, even though it was only 3 years ago. It was felt like such a huge achievement that they wanted me to make videos for them. And then when I made them, I had people commenting saying, this has made a really big difference. I'm so glad you've done this. And so to be able to help people in that community was huge for me. And it felt like that was a great achievement, feeling like my videos actually had made a difference to somebody. So that's my greatest achievement, I think. And my greatest challenge, it's the constant challenge of self-doubt. And I mean, I know you've been lovely and complimentary, and I really appreciate it, but it's hard making videos. We've said, like, you constantly, like you said, when you need that creative pause, you doubt yourself, you worry that you're not going to get another idea coming along. And even though I've just got my first sponsor and things are really exciting at the moment, there's still that part of me that's like, oh, but is it, should I really be doing this? Is this a waste of time? Is YouTube something I should actually be giving that much time to, So it's the self-doubt is, I think, the biggest challenge, I suppose. But we got to get through it, and we will.
Yeah, I have those bad moments like all the time. So sometimes I can do this. I can do really good things, and 10 seconds later I suck. I can't do this anymore.
And that's the thing, it goes like in waves. Like
yeah, and it's sometimes thinking all these bad thoughts is just so I get so tired. It's like I just sabotaging myself, and it's tiring. This is another subject, but it's a constant. You're good. You're bad. You're good. You're bad.
Yeah, it's hard.
So last night I was checking your webpage, and right now I'm gonna quote you because I find something really interesting, and I really relate to you in this thing that says, my dream in life is about your webpage, is your about section. And says my dream, and I'm quoting right now, my dream in life.
I'm nervous what I said.
Yeah, I don't know. When did you write this?
I think it's my blog. It's from a while ago, but it was me like a few years ago, so we'll see.
Yeah. Says, my dream in life is to engage more people, especially young girls, in the scientific world. To make wannabe non-scientists recognize that science can be for everyone. I want to humanize science. I'm not an old white man in a lab coat with socially awkward tendencies. I am only one of those things, or sometimes two, depending on my mood. So this part, when I was doing a little bit of research, I find it so interesting, and I can relate to you because it's what I feel that one of my goals as a science communicator is. And one of the main goals is to engage with young girls and say, hey, we are scientists. We are not all the white men in a lab. Well, sometimes we are, but, but how do you feel about this? For me, it's like super important, and we are like in this moment in life with all these movements of, like the Me Too movement, or things that are related to women. So yeah, just your general thoughts in this subject. It's not like a specific question that I just want to discuss the subject.
No, yeah. I feel like I think the biggest thing that gets me is there's a load of talk about we need to get more girls interested in science, and it's not getting them interested, it's making them see that they have a future in it. And in order for that to happen, they need to see other women in doing science, basically, because it's all well and good, you have a young girl who loves science and does it all the way through, and then she gets a job in a lab and she faces sexual harassment and that pushes her out. So my thought on it is that on YouTube it feels quite difficult. Like, it feels like for some reason, like recommendations or the algorithm or whatever is more likely to recommend my content to men because my audience is nearly all men. And so I find myself, except I have a series of videos about period pains, and those are nearly all women. But even then, I get men commenting like, "Why am I watching this? It was recommended to me." It's like, what, why, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite nice for me to hear that being read on my blog that I've not looked at for a while, because it's a good reminder of like why I'm doing this and that it's important to do. Because I've followed, whenever I see an inspirational scientist who is a woman or not white or not straight or whatever, I always follow them because I'm like, these are the voices I need to be like listening to and sharing. So I think I I have a view that it's all very positive at the moment, but I think that's because of my curated Twitter feed of interesting, unusual um, scientists. But I'm still passionate about it, and I'm glad you are too. And I need to remember that that's what I'm doing this for.
Yeah, I think that's a really important subject to point out because, yeah, sometimes life passes so fast that sometimes you forget what are you doing these things. Finding my way into science communication, like the whole experience has been like really hard. But one of the things you said is really important when you say, um, I want to girls to relate to me, because when I started, no, I mean, as a woman, I didn't find another person doing the same thing as me, at least not in Spanish, at least not in Mexico. So starting a YouTube channel and a whole new thing from scratch, basically, like, I don't know what I'm doing, just I'm gonna do it anyway. So it's important. So when I go back to all these comments and all the messages that I get from girls from high school to college, that is a really good reminder of, okay, I remember what am I doing this, like, oh, Sophia, I love your videos, so I want to be a biologist because of you. So even though sometimes doing YouTube videos you don't get enough money, because you don't, unless you get like a ton of subscribers,
Yeah.
that is a really rewarding part, and gets you feeling like really really well with yourself and saying like, I'm doing a really good thing for people out there. So I'm up there, so you can put me whatever tags you want, because I have a lot, but I'm a woman, I'm Mexican, I'm Latin, whatever. So for me it's important. Well, and sometimes it's really, really hard, because starting from nothing to, okay, but people that are in YouTube doesn't look like me. It was hard. So it's a whole experience. So what are you currently working on? Just YouTube?
Yeah, so I do YouTube and I tutor basically. So this is kind of after my masters, I thought I'm going to spend a bit of time just giving YouTube a proper crack, like uploading regularly, doing all I can. And so in order to do that, I do tutoring in sciences privately, and then I do my YouTube as well. So I'm basically just trying to post regularly, see what happens. I mean, I'm in quarantine, so it's a good time to make make videos like you do in your interviews. So yes,
Yeah,
YouTube basically.
it feels like the right time, even though it's a really bad time for all the world.
Yeah.
So also you have a new thing, and you are featured in a game show.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
could you please talk a little bit about it? Congratulations on that, by the way. Super
Thank you.
proud, because I know her. She's my friend.
Yeah, so I'm part of an agency called Standard. They're an agency for educational YouTubers. I got signed to them last month, the month before, February. Really exciting, like so cool. And they have their own streaming service called Nebula, which is like Netflix but for educational YouTubers. And much like Netflix has Netflix originals, Nebula has a Nebula original, and it's a game show called Money, and it's hosted by Tom Scott, who is quite a big YouTuber, like really cool. And I've met him a couple of times, and he asked me if I wanted to be on it. And it's me, Mike Boyd, who I mentioned earlier, Rohin, whose channel's called Medlife Crisis, Mia Mulder, and Sam, who's from Wendover Productions. And it's basically a game show all about negotiation and deceit, all to win money. And I won't give anything away, but some people show their true colors, and it's like I really enjoy being in it. And for me, it was so surreal to be asked because they're all really like cool YouTubers, and I was just there like, hello.
Like, you're not. Come on, Sophie.
No. I mean, but they're like way bigger than me. You know, like a little fish in a big old sea. So so that's what it is, and you can get a free subscription to Nebula, and they've got like a bundle with Curiosity Stream. But basically, you can watch it, and it's quite fun. It's 5 episodes long, but each episode is around 15 minutes, so it goes quite quickly. And it was great. It was so fun to be a part of it, and it was a good time.
Awesome. And also, I want to know about your experience with the BBC and the things you did for them, because as a biologist, you know, I have a special place in my heart for BBC and all the things they do with animals and stuff. And I'll tell you an experience with a BBC presenter later, but it's quite like a anecdote, but I'll tell you later. So, your BBC experience.
Oh, I mean, so my BBC experiences, I've not so much made things for them as I've kind of had a few. I got into like the final 10 of, there was like this BBC Earth expert search, and I got to the final 10 of that, which blew my mind because it was a worldwide search, and there were so many talented people. Everyone were uploading their audition tapes onto YouTube, and I was watching them all like, oh my gosh, these are so good. But out of thousands of applications, I got to the final 10, which was really cool. And then since then, I've kind of just generally been in touch with them about maybe doing some stuff, but it hasn't quite worked out. So I've not actually made any stuff for the BBC, but they've been in touch with me, and it's been cool. So that's it, really. Have I done anything? No, that's it generally. So nothing as of yet, but who knows?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you will, because let me tell you, I did apply for that thing. I did my application, and comparing myself with the other ones, like, okay, I get it. It's terrible. Also, the accent. So, good luck.
But I think of the 10 people who got, there was like 2 people who were native English speakers. I think the other 8 weren't. But I'm sure your video was.
I don't think it was me, because my tape was like, no, it was awful. I can't lie you to that. Like, no. Because it was like all scripted. No. It's not my best project, but I did it anyway because
yeah, why not?
Why not? Fun. So to end this conversation, and I always finish with this question is, could you please give an advice for a person that I want to be into biomedical sciences, that want to do stand-up or want to become a YouTuber?
Okay, so I actually have one piece of advice that has unwittingly become my catchphrase, and it is back yourself. So no one really knows what they're doing. Some people are better at pretending, but whenever anyone starts something, they're always not quite sure what they're doing and what's happening. And so you just need to put yourself out there, try your best, and back yourself. Believe in yourself is essentially what I mean. Just, it sounds so cheesy to be like, believe it, you can achieve it, but just have faith in your own abilities, because my channel has grown from me literally just trying to starting making videos in a dark room with a phone camera, or I don't know, I've done some really weird stand-up gigs in my time, and like, or lectures that I've just said yes to. Just say yes to things, push yourself, and have faith that you can do it, essentially, because everybody is making things up.
That's a really good advice. So where people can find you? My English.
It's all right.
Yeah.
People can find me. So my YouTube channel is Soph's Notes. My Twitter is at Soph's Notes. My Instagram is at Soph's Notes. The podcast we mentioned is A Piece of String. And those are the main places, really, where you can check me out.
Pues ahí está, gente. Ella fue Sophie Ward. La verdad es que estoy muy feliz de que ella esté aquí con nosotros. Ya saben, síganla en todas sus redes sociales. Todos los links que estuvimos mencionando los voy a dejar abajo en la descripción. Así que eso es todo por esta entrevista. Espero que les haya gustado. No se les olvide de seguirme en mis diferentes redes sociales, darle suscribir a este canal, compartir estos videos y seguir a Sophie. Sophie, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me.